Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Allevo seed treatment to protect your soybean crop. Powered by Soy Biodiesel. Later today, I'll head to the Wayne County Fair. We'll be there all thanks to certified Angus beef. On Tuesday, we'll get you an update from Ohio Corn and Wheat. And on Thursday, all thanks to Nature's Alpine Solutions, we'll head to the Wyandotte County Fair in Upper Sandusky, and looking forward to all those updates. As we check out some other notes, July exports of U.S. pork were slightly below last year, but accounted for a larger share of production, according to data released by the USDA and compiled by the U.S. Meat Export Federation. Market access obstacles continue to weigh heavily on exports of U.S. beef, with the vast majority of plants still ineligible to ship to China. Pork exports totaled 238,922 metric tons, down just 1% from a year ago, while value fell 4% to $680.9 million, largely reflecting the 10% decline in pork variety meat prices due to China's tariffs. July was another strong month for U.S. pork in leading market Mexico, while exports increased year over year to Central America, Colombia, and the Caribbean. Pork variety meat demand was strong in July, with exports posting the second largest volume this year. Through the first 7 months of 2025, pork exports were 4% below last year's record pace in both volume and value. U.S. beef performed well in July in leading market South Korea, as well as the Caribbean, Central America, Chile, the Philippines, and Africa. But with shipments to China nearly halted due to the lack of eligible plants, July beef shipments were down 19% from a year ago, the lowest in 5 years. Export value declined 17%, the lowest since January of 2023. From January through July, exports were 8% below last year in volume and down 7.5% in value. The decline was largely due to China's failure to renew registrations for the vast majority of U.S. beef plants and cold storage facilities, most of which expired in March. China has also suspended 11 U.S. beef facilities since June. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Dry weather dominating this week coming up. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag Weather Update. We have no rain beginning to end here today, right on through Saturday into early Sunday. I just don't see anything coming together after a cool start here this morning. We're well on our way. Temperatures are going to be above normal by midweek, and we're going to be quite toasty, honestly, by the time we finish up and get into the weekend. Let's fast forward to the weekend a little bit. A system trying to hold together coming out of the upper Midwest and Great Lakes region, sagging south and southeastward. If it can hold together, I do think we see some Sunday rains here, anywhere from 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch, coverage around 75% of the Buckeye State. But the key is if it can hold together. We've seen this story before. Moisture to the west and northwest looks promising, runs out of gas as it gets here. So I really want to see what this system does over the next 2 to 3 days before getting too excited about moisture on Sunday. If we miss that, we're right back to dry weather for most of next week, although slightly cooler. I think, though, that we go Monday the 15th right on through the entire week with nothing popping up. It could be well into the week of the 22nd before we see another good round of moisture trying to come back. That's a look at your forecast update. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Let's check in with Brianna Smith with an update on an organization with a name change and what that's all about.
Joining me is Ryan LeGrand from the U.S. Grains and Bioproducts Council. You had a recent name change to your organization. Can you kind of talk on what caused that change and why you are now including the bioproducts?
Sure. Well, the U.S. Grains Council, formerly known and now as the U.S. Grains and Bioproducts Council, has been around for 65 years. We have been promoting, I'd say 20 years, distillers' grains, and for the last 11, 12 years, ethanol, when traditionally we were promoting more of the feed grains, corn, barley, sorghum, and different uses for those. We wanted to incorporate into our name the products that are coming out of the American ethanol plants and what we're promoting overseas. These products, distillers grains, now the high pro distillers and ethanol are part of our identity in practice, but not in name. And so we really wanted to bring that in and make it clear to all stakeholders, external and internal, who we are and what we represent.
What should Ohio farmers know about the current landscape of U.S. trade, especially deals that impact corn, ethanol, and our ability to compete globally?
Of all the products that we market overseas, and with the exception of sorghum, things are going very well. This year, the crop year that just ended August 31st, when the final numbers come out, we will have broken a record for corn exports all time, edging out the 2020-21 crop year. And important context on that, the last time we set a record just 4 or 5 years ago, China took 30% of that corn. This year, 0. They've taken one vessel, so not even registering at 1% this year. So it's great to see that we're shipping more corn to traditional customers and new customers alike. We're going to do the same for ethanol. Again, the marketing year that just closed, we'll see over 2 billion gallons, maybe 2.1 billion gallons of ethanol exports. That's compared to last year's record of 1.75. So all told, in the form of corn, we're exporting 140 million more bushels in the form of ethanol of corn than we did last year. So great to see that front as well.
And thank you, Ryan LeGrand and Brianna Smith, for that update. Stay tuned, back with more after this.
Biodiesel isn't just a fuel, it's a game changer for your engine, your wallet, and your farm. Cleaner burning and efficient, biodiesel enhances engine life, power, and fuel economy. Plus, it delivers real value, adding $1.33 to every bushel of soybeans grown. That's 13% more value per bushel, directly tied to the biofuels market. Ready to turn soybeans into power and drive with purpose? Learn how at soyohio.org.
Get ready for the 63rd Annual Farm Science Review, September 16th through the 18th near London, Ohio. Explore hundreds of exhibits, field demonstrations, and educational sessions. Get pre-sale discounted tickets at participating OSU Extension offices, agribusinesses, or online at fsr.osu.edu. Plan your trip with the digital directory and mobile app, and follow Farm Science Review on social media. Don't miss the 63rd Farm Science Review, September 16th through the 18th.
Oil futures slid for the third consecutive trading day Friday, pressured by weaker U.S. employment data, a build in crude and distillant inventories, and a higher North American rig count as traders turned their focus to Sunday's OPEC meeting. Now, it looks like the New York MEX traded for October delivery down $1.61. The ICE Brent from November delivery fell $1.39. The U.S. Labor Department reported Friday morning that non-farm payrolls increased by 22,000 in August, well below the expectation of 75,000 gain, while the unemployment rate rose to 4.3%, up from 4.2% in July. The Energy Information Administration on Thursday said U.S. commercial crude oil inventories expanded by 2.4 million barrels to 420.7 million barrels last week, with cushioning stocks growing by 1.6 million barrels. Distillant inventories rose by 1.7 million barrels, further weighing on prices. Baker Hughes reported Friday that the North American rig count rose by 7 to 718, led by a 6-rig gain in Canada. And let me take a minute and remind you of some of the things that will be coming up at Farm Science Review. One of the topics will be weathering the extremes, how climate impacts Ohio's crops. Also, there'll be an Ask the Experts, real-time answers to today's farming challenges. There'll be fire safety and first responder training, agriculture's role in rural emergency preparedness. Another topic will be farming the future. Workforce pathways will be on display at Farm Science Review. From STEM to swine, youth tech, and biosecurity education at Farm Science Review. And passing the torch, farm succession strategies for Ohio's next generation. And, of course, the Gwynn Conservation Area with all kinds of different things going on. It's a living lab for sustainable land use. And, again, you can check all that out at the upcoming Farm Science Review. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information on your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. Now with our analysis, here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the Friday session mostly lower. It wasn't a bloodbath, but there wasn't really anything positive in the marketplace overall. December corn briefly scored a new recovery high on Friday and then gave it up. Long soybeans and short corn spreads were being unwound over the course of the week last week. Markets globally are preparing for a trimming of the benchmark U.S. lending rate during the remainder of 2025, following another month of lower than expected job growth. The Bureau of Labor Statistics on a Friday morning pegged job growth in August at just 22,000 versus expectations of 75. Monthly revisions featured net U.S. job losses all the way back into June. The Fed in September will probably cut rates, but whether it's a quarter point or half point will be up for debate. Financial markets, though, have reacted poorly to the labor market mandates despite the coming downward trend in interest rates. Dow on Friday was down sharply. Spot crude down fairly hard during the day as well. Consumer spending will be the focal point as we move through the rest of fall and into winter, as will be the recent trend in unemployment, which in August was 4.3 versus 4.2 in July and 4.1 in June. Weekly export sales report out on Friday, a day late because of the holiday. For the week ending August 28th, it underscored the nature of the competitiveness in the U.S. corn market. U.S. corn export sales in the week ending August 28th were a net 72 million bushels versus 82 million the previous week, above what was expected and what was needed to meet USDA's 25-26 forecast. Soybean sales for the week ending August 28th were a net 29 million bushels versus 43 the previous week and 53 million the same week a year ago. China has yet to buy a single bushel of U.S. soybeans, and the total 25-26 commitments sit at just 336 million bushels, down 135 million from last year, the lowest for late August since 2019. Hope for physical soy shipments to China is being pushed into late October and November. That's worrisome. I can tell you, it's not even going to be there either. It's going to be well beyond. All wheat sales totaled 11.5 million bushels versus 21.3 the previous week. A slowing of new crop wheat export demand lies ahead as FOB prices become less and less competitive. That's the way your market's finished up. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. I'll have the overnight figures after this.
Stop on by our Red Barn during the Farm Science Review, September 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Come say hello to the Ohio AgNet and the Ohio Country Journal team.
Subscribe to Ohio's Country Journal for a chance to win one of 4 $250 gift cards.
And don't miss your chance to say hi to Dale Minyo. After more than 30 years on the air, he's retiring. Sign his guest book, play games, and enjoy fun giveaways.
Plus, free popcorn every day until 1 o'clock.
We'll see you at the corner of Corn and Market at the Red Barn at Farm Science Review.
Are you involved in Ohio agriculture and do not get Ohio's Country Journal in your mailbox? You're kidding, right? Hey, it's Ty Higgins. It's free to subscribe to OCJ, but the information you'll get about current crop conditions, market analysis, new innovations in technology, policy, and more is invaluable. Subscribe or renew your subscription by September 20th, and you could win a $250 Visa gift card. Visit ocj.com/renew to get Ohio's Country Journal and read what you've been missing.
Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, September corn down 2 at $3.97. December unchanged at $4.18. March down a half at $4.36. September beans unchanged at $10.06.5. November up 2.5 at $10.29.5. And May up 2 1/4 at $10.76 3/4. The other day I asked Ryan Martin why some of these numbers could stay unchanged for so long, and he said normally it's because of low trading volume, and I guess for September wheat, that would make sense. September wheat unchanged at $5.01. December down a penny and a half at $5.17 3/4. March down a penny at $5.34 3/4. At Friday's close, October cattle were down 97 cents at $235.97. December down $1.10 at $237.45. February down $1.20 at $238.67. October feeder cattle down $1.05 at $357.90. November down $1.92 at $356.15. Finish on a good note. October lean hogs up $1 at $96.02. December up $1.02 at $88.32. February up 87 cents at $90.37. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio AgNet.